How are we doing this week, guys? Welcome back to the Marvel Mingle, where we will be discussing all things going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alright group, strap in. We have very minimal news this week, so we're going to start off real quick here. I'm going to talk about one rumor, and then we'll get into some stuff regarding last week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series finale and what it means for the future of the greater MCU. So, first off, rumor has it that Marvel Studios is reportedly looking for Eastern European actors to potentially take on the role of the Tracksuit Mafia in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series. Now, these are from the Matt Fraction Hawkeye comics, which we know is the main inspiration for this series. They faced Hawkeye several times in the comics. Now, they hired an assassin known as the Clown, who is rumored to be in this series, played by Bill Skarsgård. We covered that a few weeks back. They hired him to kill Barton, and Kate Bishop and Hawkeye eventually defeated the Clown as well as the Tracksuit Mafia. But this is one thing to keep in mind, guys. Now that this is out of the way, let's discuss the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series finale. After 7 seasons, the show ended on an amazing note, a very high one. And I broke it down. I said my thoughts about it in my review that I did, which is the last video that I uploaded. But today we're going to talk about what the ending implicated for the greater MCU. Now first, let's start off with S.W.O.R.D. The way they ended off Daisy, Sousa, and Cora was they were all in space on the brand new Zephyr 3, and they were approaching a nebula. Sousa joked about themselves being called Astro Ambassadors, right? Which could be a nod to the fact that maybe Daisy and this team are working for S.W.O.R.D. and covering space missions, maybe meeting with other species out in space. I don't know, but we know that Daisy Johnson had a huge part in S.W.O.R.D. in the comics, and so it has been rumored for a while we may get an Agents of S.W.O.R.D. television show on Disney Plus. We know that S.W.O.R.D. is making its entry into the MCU in the WandaVision series, and we know that that's probably going to be a pretty big factor in the coming years of the MCU. We know that Monica Rambeau, an adult version, last time we saw her, she was a kid in Captain Marvel. We know that she's all grown up and that she will be operating inside S.W.O.R.D. thanks to some set photos. We know that she's working with Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. But we do have a lot of potential in the future. We know that the pager that Nick Fury used to call Captain Marvel right before he dusted away in Infinity War, on the back of the prop, it said S.W.O.R.D. It had the logo and the acronym spelled out. So the seeds are planted. In the credit scene from Spider-Man Far From Home, when it is revealed to us that Fury and Maria Hill in that entire movie were Skrulls, we see Fury is out in space in some sort of big base, which a lot of people think is S.W.O.R.D., which makes sense. So we got Nick Fury stationed out in space in S.W.O.R.D. Maybe he deployed Agent Johnson along with Sousa and Cora. I think that'd be amazing to see. So right there, we definitely have a bright future. So especially if there is an Agents of S.W.O.R.D. series, there's a lot of ground to cover there. You got Agent Daisy Johnson, Monica Rambeau, maybe Jimmy Woo. We could get Nick Fury working there. That could be his next big step in the MCU. And we know that Fox's X-Men and Fantastic Four characters will be introduced soon enough. So with all of this coming into play, there's a very good chance we could see Quake and the others from S.H.I.E.L.D. in future MCU projects. I think it would be foolish of them not to include Daisy Johnson at least. Now, we probably won't revisit this, but I wouldn't complain if we saw Agent May returning. The way they ended off her character is she is a professor at the brand new Coulson Academy, teaching people such as Flint. Not much to explore there, just a good path to send off May. I wouldn't count on seeing anything further with Fitz and Simmons. They're happy, finally living a life with their child. But Mac, we see he's kind of been set up as the next Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was even wearing the Fury trench coat, looking boss on the helicarrier. So I definitely think that we could see him in the future if they were to revisit S.H.I.E.L.D. in any case. But with all the new MCU developments, with S.W.O.R.D. coming into play, maybe the ending of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was retiring S.H.I.E.L.D. all together. But if S.H.I.E.L.D. does return, I'd love to see Yo-Yo zooming around doing missions, because we know that she still is doing missions with Piper and an LMD Davis. But I would love to see Director Mack pop up in future MCU projects. Now, When we end on Agent Coulson, he gets in his brand new model of Lola that Mac refurbished for him, and he zooms off. And in the background, we see the Triskelion, further proving that the timeline has indeed been restored. It's really an open book for Coulson. I would love to see him show up in future projects, and I said this in my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. review. Somebody mentioned that they'd love to see him pop up in future MCU projects, almost like Stan Lee did. I still believe that Coulson's the powerhouse of the MCU, so I would love to see that. And let's discuss the Quantum Realm and how that really brought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after much controversy that really kind of connected S.H.I.E.L.D. back into the greater MCU. We know they kind of broke off and did their own thing in seasons 5 and 6, and the timeline got messed up. But Fitz fixed this issue quickly.
You went back in time and then you branched off. But we can travel through something called the Quantum Realm. So we can go in between timelines.
I think that's a great explanation, and that kind of coincides with the Ancient One's explanation to Bruce Banner. But the fact that they even went in the Quantum Realm and showed that proves that this very much still is in the MCU. So I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters and plots still have a good chance of making an impact on the greater MCU. Look out for Agents of S.W.O.R.D. at some point in the future. But for now, that will be it, guys. Let me know what you think. Groot, what do you think of this news?
I am Groot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what he says every time. Anyway, guys, it's been real. I will see you guys next week. Just remember, it's all connected.